The earth, overflowing with divine love. Reflections on Psalm 33:5. Have you ever stood outside on a perfect spring morning and felt something almost overwhelming wash over you? That moment when the sunlight hits just right, when the air smells impossibly fresh, when everything around you seems to hum with life and possibility? I want to talk with you today about what that feeling really is and why it matters more than you might think. There's this beautiful verse in Psalm 33, verse 5, that says the earth is full of the steadfast love of the Lord. Full of it. Not partially filled, not containing traces of it here and there, but absolutely overflowing with divine love. And I think we miss this most of the time. We walk through our days, our eyes glued to screens, our minds tangled up in worries about bills and deadlines and what someone said to us last Tuesday, and we completely miss the fact that we're swimming in an ocean of love. Think about that image for a moment. An ocean. When you're in the ocean, love isn't something you have to search for or earn or achieve. It's everywhere. It's touching every part of you. You can't escape it even if you tried. And according to this ancient psalm, that's exactly the reality we're living in right now. The love of God isn't distant or scarce or reserved for special people on special occasions. It's the very atmosphere we breathe, the ground beneath our feet, the fabric of existence itself. But here's what gets me, what really stops me in my tracks when I sit with this verse. The psalmist isn't making this up or engaging in wishful thinking. He's observing reality. He's looking around at the world and saying, "Look, can't you see it? It's everywhere. The love is everywhere." And I think the question we have to ask ourselves is, if the earth really is full of God's steadfast love, why don't we feel it more often? Why do so many of us walk around feeling empty, unloved, forgotten? I believe it comes down to attention. We've forgotten how to see. Our culture trains us to notice what's wrong, what's missing, what's broken. We scroll through news feeds designed to trigger our anxiety. We compare our lives to carefully curated highlight reels of other people's existences. We fixate on the one critical comment and ignore the 20 encouraging ones. And slowly, imperceptibly, we train ourselves to live in a world that feels hostile and scarce, even though we're surrounded by abundance. Let me tell you what happened to me last fall. I was going through a really difficult season. Some relationships had fractured, work felt meaningless, and I was battling this low-grade depression that colored everything gray. One morning, I was walking to my car, completely lost in my own dark thoughts, when I almost stepped on this tiny flower growing up through a crack in the concrete, and something made me stop. I actually got down on my knees right there in the parking lot to look at it more closely. It was perfect. Absolutely perfect. These delicate purple petals, this impossibly intricate design, thriving in the least hospitable place you could imagine. No one had planted it there. No one was watering it or caring for it. And yet there it was, offering its beauty to the universe, indifferent to whether anyone noticed. And in that moment, I got it. I understood what the psalmist was saying. This wasn't just a flower. This was love made visible. This was the steadfast love of the Lord overflowing into the most unlikely places, refusing to be contained or controlled or diminished by difficult circumstances. The steadfast love of the Lord. That phrase is so important. The Hebrew word used here is hesed, and it's one of the richest words in the entire Bible. It means loyal love, faithful love, covenant love, the kind of love that doesn't fluctuate based on feelings or circumstances. It's the love that shows up. It's the love that stays. It's the love that keeps its promises when keeping promises is hard. And the earth is full of it. Not the church building, not some distant heaven. The earth. The actual dirt under your feet. The physical world you inhabit right now. The world that so many religious traditions have taught us to despise or escape or merely endure until we can get to something better. That world, this world, is saturated with the steadfast love of God. Do you know what this means practically? It means that every sunrise is a love letter. Every breath you take is a gift of love. Every flower, every tree, every bird song, every cool breeze on a hot day, every warm ray of sunshine on a cold morning. These aren't random accidents of chemistry and physics. They're expressions of love. They're God's way of saying, I'm here, I see you, I'm caring for you, even when you don't notice, even when you don't believe it. I think about the people in my life who feel most distant from God. Often they're not the ones who've done terrible things or rejected faith intellectually. They're the ones who've simply stopped noticing. They've become so focused on their pain, their disappointments, their failures, that they can't see the love that's surrounding them every moment. And my heart breaks for them because I know what it's like to live that way. To be drowning in an ocean of love but convinced you're dying of thirst. One of my closest friends went through a brutal divorce a few years ago. She felt utterly abandoned, convinced that God had forgotten her, that she was unlovable, that her life was ruined. And I remember sitting with her one afternoon on her back porch, both of us silent, both of us not knowing what to say. And then this hummingbird came and hovered right in front of us, so close we could see the iridescent shimmer of its feathers, so close we could hear the whir of its wings. It stayed there for what felt like an impossibly long time, as if it was trying to tell us something, as if it was saying, look how beautiful life still is, look how much care went into creating even the smallest things. My friend started crying. Not sad tears, but something else. Recognition, maybe. Relief. And she whispered, okay, I see it. I see you. It was like that tiny bird had broken through months of despair and reminded her of something she'd forgotten. That she lived in a world that was full, absolutely full, of steadfast love. That her pain, as real as it was, wasn't the whole story. That beauty and care and love were still operating, still flowing, still holding her even when she couldn't feel it. The earth is full of the steadfast love of the Lord. Full of it. And I think this changes everything about how we should live. If we really believed this, really internalized it, we couldn't walk through the world the same way. We'd move through our days differently. We'd notice more. We'd give thanks more. We'd trust more. We'd worry less. We'd hoard less because we'd know that we live in a universe of abundance, not scarcity. But it also means something else, something perhaps even more radical. If the earth is full of God's love, then we can't separate the spiritual from the physical. We can't divide life into sacred moments and secular moments, holy places and ordinary places. Everything is sacred. Everything is holy. The grocery store, the office, the gym, the kitchen. These aren't just neutral spaces we pass through on our way to real spiritual life. They're venues for encountering divine love. They're places where God is already present, already active, already loving. This is why contemplative traditions talk so much about practicing presence, about staying awake, about paying attention. Because the love is already here, the revelation is already happening. We're just missing it because we're distracted, because we're sleepwalking through our lives, because we've trained ourselves to notice everything except what matters most. I've started trying this practice. When I wake up in the morning, before I reach for my phone, before I start running through my to-do list, I lie there for a moment, and I think the earth is full of the steadfast love of the Lord. I'm lying on a planet that's completely saturated with divine love. And then I try to notice it as I go through my day. The way my coffee tastes, the smile from a stranger, the efficiency of my lungs drawing in oxygen, the miracle of my heart beating without any conscious effort on my part, the fact that the sun rose again, that the seasons keep turning, that life keeps generating more life. And here's what I've discovered. The more I notice, the more there is to notice. It's like my capacity for perceiving love expands. Things that I used to walk past without a second thought now stop me in my tracks. A spider web covered in morning dew, the way light filters through leaves, the sound of children laughing in the distance, the extraordinary complexity of a single snowflake. Each one a small revelation, each one whispering the same message. You are held, you are known, you are loved. The psalmist says the Lord loves righteousness and justice, and then immediately connects this to the earth being full of God's love. I think that connection is crucial. It means that divine love isn't just an abstract spiritual concept. It has implications for how we organize society, how we treat each other, how we care for creation. If the earth is full of God's steadfast love, then injustice is a kind of blindness, a failure to see what's really there, a denial of the love that's flowing through everything. When we exploit the environment, we're not just being impractical or short-sighted. We're rejecting the love that's being offered to us. When we ignore the suffering of others, we're not just being unkind. We're failing to recognize that they too are swimming in the same ocean of divine love that we are, that they too bear the mark of the one who fills the earth with Hesed. Righteousness and justice aren't burdens imposed by a harsh God. They're natural responses to seeing reality clearly, to recognizing the love that's already there. I think this is why Jesus spent so much time in nature, why he used so many images from the natural world in his teaching. The birds of the air, the lilies of the field, the seeds growing secretly, the fig trees budding. He was pointing people back to what the psalmist knew, that if you want to understand what God is like, look around you. The evidence is everywhere. The love is everywhere. Every sparrow that falls, every hair on your head, every blade of grass, all of it held, all of it known, all of it loved. And if God cares for these things with such attention and tenderness, how much more does God care for you? That's the question Jesus keeps asking. How much more? You're more valuable than many sparrows. You're more beautifully adorned than Solomon in all his glory. Not because you've earned it or achieved it, but simply because you exist, because you're here, because you're part of this creation that God has filled with steadfast love. Sometimes people tell me they can't believe in God because there's too much suffering in the world, and I understand that objection. I really do. The problem of pain is real, and I don't pretend to have easy answers. But I also think we have to be honest about what we're actually seeing. Yes, there's suffering. Yes, there's evil. Yes, there are tragedies that break our hearts. But there's also this overwhelming abundance of beauty and care and provision and life. The earth is full, not partially full, not occasionally full, but full of steadfast love. Maybe both things are true simultaneously. Maybe we live in a world that's broken and being healed, fallen and being redeemed, full of pain and full of love. Maybe our job isn't to explain away the tension, but to hold both realities, to acknowledge the suffering while also refusing to be blind to the love, to weep with those who weep and rejoice with those who rejoice, to name the darkness while also lighting candles. I keep coming back to that word, steadfast. The love that fills the earth isn't fickle or fragile. It doesn't depend on our moods or our circumstances or our ability to perceive it. It's steadfast. It endures. It remains. Even when we can't feel it, even when we doubt it, even when we've forgotten how to recognize it, the love keeps flowing, keeps filling, keeps holding everything together. And maybe that's the invitation, not to create love or generate love or earn love, but simply to wake up to the love that's already here, to let ourselves be found by what's been searching for us all along, to stop striving and start receiving, to open our eyes and really see, to open our hearts and really feel, to open our hands and really receive the gift that's being offered every moment of every day. The earth is full of the steadfast love of the Lord. Right now, wherever you are, whatever you're going through, that's the truth you're standing in. The question is, will you notice? Will you let yourself feel it? Will you allow this reality to change how you see everything else? I hope you will. I hope you'll start looking for it, expecting it, trusting it. I hope the next time you see something beautiful, you'll recognize it for what it truly is. Not just a pleasant accident, but a personal message of love to you. I hope you'll start living like someone who knows they're surrounded by steadfast love, held by faithful presence, carried by unending grace. Because you are. We all are. The earth is full of it. Full. Overflowing. abundant beyond measure. And we get to live here, get to breathe here, get to notice and give thanks, and become ourselves conduits of the love that's flowing through everything. What an extraordinary gift! What an incredible truth! The earth is full of the steadfast love of the Lord.